On to new developments in the murder of Florida toddler Caylee Anthony. Her mother, Casey Anthony, is accused of that brutal crime. But now Anthony's lawyers are raising questions about the man who found Caylee's body. We're going to talk to them exclusively in just a moment. But first, NBC's Kerry Sanders has details on this. Kerry, good morning to you.
Well, good morning, Matt. From the moment that Caylee's body was discovered here in the woods, it's been a question. How did one man who says he didn't know Caylee or her mother, Casey, know where the body was dumped? Now, Casey's defense team is grilling that man, asking him if perhaps he's somehow involved. Who killed 2-year-old Caylee Anthony? Her 23-year-old mother is accused of the murder. But now new questions from the defense about this man, Roy Kronk. Casey Anthony's attorney, Jose Baez, spent Thursday in depositions with Kronk, raising questions that he is somehow involved in Caylee's murder.
We're not playing around, and we're going to get to the bottom of things.
I haven't done anything wrong, and I've maintained that the whole time. So I'm just telling them what my discoveries were and what it is, and, you know, I know that I haven't done anything wrong, so I don't have a reason to be fearful or troubled by any of this.
Roy Kronk first called deputies in late August a year ago, claiming there was something worth investigating in the woods.
I don't know what it is. I'm not telling you it's Caylee or anything of that nature. But
Kronk would call the authorities with his suspicions a total of 3 times, but deputies never found Caylee's body. Then, on a rainy day 3 months later, a utility department manager phoned 911 saying one of their meter readers made a gruesome discovery. That meter reader was Roy Kronk.
We found a human skull. Oh my gosh.
Casey's attorneys say it doesn't add up. How would Kronk know so much about where Caylee's body was eventually found and yet have no connection to her murder?
Of course, it's very odd, and we asked everything about that.
NBC News has obtained several defense video depositions just filed with the court, including a sworn statement from one of Roy Kronk's ex-wives.
He duct taped my hands one time.
Jill Curley was asked what she thought when she heard Kronk had discovered Caylee's remains and the duct tape across the 2-year-old's mouth.
He had done it.
Done it meaning?
He probably was the one that had murdered Caylee Anthony.
Is there a suggestion that your client Roy Kronk in any way is involved in Caylee's death?
No. None. Zero. Okay, thank you.
Roy Kronk says that, or investigators say that Roy Kronk is not a suspect, but rather he's a witness. Now, Kronk's attorney, David Evans, says this is simply an effort by Casey Anthony's defense team to throw some mud and to deflect attention away from Casey Anthony, who is charged with murder. Matt?
All right, Kerry Sanders for us this morning. Kerry, thank you very much. Casey Anthony's lawyers, Jose Baez and Andrea Lyon, are with us now exclusively. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Matt.
Let's start right there. Is this just an effort on your part to deflect attention away from Casey Anthony and throw it in some way in the direction of Roy Kronk?
Absolutely not. This is a situation where law enforcement never looked into this witness, who is a critical witness in this case, and never investigated this man's background. And all we're frankly doing is bringing it to the attention of the court, and
Bringing it to the attention of the court for what reason? Do you think he was involved in the murder of Caylee Anthony?
What we think is that there is as much circumstantial evidence implicating Roy Kronk as there is implicating our client, and that the state and the police should have investigated him as a suspect. There were so many red flags. It was a sea of red.
Let me ask you, let me see if I can hold your feet to the fire on that. Do you really think there is as much circumstantial evidence implicating Roy Kronk as there is implicating Casey Anthony?
He's the only one who's been with the body. He's the only one who magically discovers it. He takes a day off the day before he discovers it again in December. He calls his son a month ahead of time and says, I'm going to be on TV.
Let me play devil's advocate.
Famous.
Casey Anthony doesn't report her daughter missing for 31 days. She's out partying while the daughter's missing. She lies about key elements in this case. And she's the mother of this child.
And those facts will come out at trial, and everything will be cleared out. Everyone wants to try this case today. It's not going to get tried today. This is just part of the process, and this witness should have been investigated thoroughly by law enforcement, and quite frankly wasn't.
You've been very generous with your time, and since the last time we spoke to you, something has come up. We've been hearing for a while about this awful odor that was apparently detected in the trunk of Casey Anthony's car, and some people speculated it was the odor of a decaying body. We understand now that as part of discovery that experts say they have found insects that feed off decaying flesh in the trunk of that car. Is that something that's correct, and how would you explain it?
Well, that evidence is going to be highly disputed in court. We're certainly not going to lay out what our strategy is on how we're dealing with that. But quite frankly, just because the police says it's so doesn't make it so.
When the trial comes about and the prosecution stands up and starts to go down the laundry list, Andrea, of what I just mentioned to you, the 31 days not reporting the girl missing, the partying during that time, the lying to investigators, how are you going to defend that?
Well, we're going to defend it on the lack of evidence, the lack of physical evidence, and a lot of other things. But one of the things that I think it's important to understand is that the state has made the choice to ask for the death penalty in a totally inappropriate case in order, it is our position, to get the biased jury that they will get with a death-qualified jury. Because anyone who opposes a death penalty or even waivers on it is excluded for cause, and they end up with a pro-prosecution, pro-death penalty, pro-conviction jury. And that's what they want because they don't have actual evidence. Suspicion? You bet. Evidence? No.
Andrea Line and Jose Baez, again, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.